What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Let's Play Majerus G3, a series of videos based around the recently restored laptop and virtual studio of late contemporary artist Michel Majerus. This is episode 1. My name's Corey Arcangel, and I am so thrilled to be showing you what I have to show you later in this episode and over the course of the year as I make more of these videos. This project has been in progress for 7 years, so I'm amazed that we're finally here, and I just can't wait. So for episode 1, which is today, we're just going to go over the basics. Who is Michel Majerus? Who am I for that matter? What is contemporary art? What is virtual studio? ... And most importantly, what is this laptop? So let's start. Who is Michel Majerus? So for this, I have the bio from his estate. So this is like his official bio. This was just sent last week, and let me read it. During a brief, albeit vastly prolific career, Michel Majerus produced a wide-ranging body of work that proved instrumental in shaping artistic approaches grappling with the then nascent digital age. Characterized by unfettered quotation and the recontextualization of visual motifs from a diverse collection of sources, Majerus' work showcases his deep engagements with both art history and popular culture. Majerus cultivated a mode of production that allowed him to delve into and conceptualize anew the discourses surrounding painting and explore them across media and form, from prints to paintings and large-scale installations. Together, they shape a manifold body of work that continues to resonate today. All right, so that's like the official bio. Let me give you my bio, or let's say my elevator pitch. So I have 30 seconds, we're in an elevator. Let me pitch you on Majerus. I think the first thing that I would say is his work is or was completely of the present. So meaning it couldn't have been made like a day earlier. So in that way, we just get like such an amazing sense of the 90s and the early 2000s of when he was working. And it's like visceral in a way. And the second thing I would say is, and bear with me, I know it's like longer than 30 seconds, so give me a minute, give me 2 minutes, is his formal talent or his formal abilities, like put into English, like how did he know how to put this there? How did he know how to make that blue, the screen? Just working in a kind of square. The work is just amazing. And, you know, another artist I think similarly about is Jean-Michel Basquiat. So for him and Majerus, I kind of put in the same file cabinet in my brain. So this currency and this formal, all this together makes he's just one of my favorite artists. And that's one of the reasons why this project has been such a thrill. Okay, who am I? My name is Corey Arcangel. I'm your host for this program, and I'm an artist, I'm a composer, I'm a researcher, and for the purposes of this YouTube series, I'm a YouTuber, I guess, and I was kind of the producer of this project. So I glued all the parts together that allowed this laptop to be restored. And I'll talk about the laptop in a second. But before we get there, I had mentioned Michel Majerus is a contemporary artist. So for those joining that might be new to that term, what is a contemporary artist? I think, put simply, a contemporary artist is an artist who makes work of the present. So if you're an artist and you are trying to channel like the vibe or the energy or the ish of your age, simply you're a contemporary artist. Now, there are like sub-definitions, like there's the whole contemporary art industry, for example. But I think for our purposes, this definition of an artist of their age is sufficient. And I think in that way, Majerus is like a perfect example of a contemporary artist, like a truly contemporary artist. Okay, and lastly, what is a virtual studio? And in the case of this project, what is this laptop that we're talking about? And this is going to take me a few minutes to explain, so just bear with me. I'm going to do a little bit more talking up front on this video than I will do in the others, but that's just so that when we do boot this laptop up, we have a little idea of what we're looking at. So to kind of start, I think we have to go back to 2014. 2014, a friend of mine, Gil Gentili, Instagrams a painting of Majerus's. No date, no location, no information at all, just a cell phone picture of one of his paintings. I freaked out. I just was like, this painting is so amazing. Who made it? I was flabbergasted. What would be the word? Dumbfounded. I was, my mind exploded. So eventually I learned from Gil that, it's an artist named Michel Majerus, and he actually had passed over 10 years earlier, and I had never heard of him. So I was just shocked. Fast forward a little bit, I find out he has an estate in Berlin. Fast forward a little bit, I start visiting the estate every year, actually. I fly there every year. And this is just because I'm like so interested in this artist and this work. So fast forward a little bit, eventually through many conversations with the estate, I found out, oh, he had a laptop. And when they mentioned he had a laptop, of course, my first question was, well, what happened to it? And they were like, yeah, actually, we still have it, ... Fast forward a little bit, we decide, well, wouldn't it be cool if we were trying to boot this thing up? Okay, fast forward a little bit. Now it's 2017, and we decide to start this project in earnest. We are going to try to boot up the laptop and virtual studio of Michel Majerus that he used in his late life. At this point, I bring on board Rhizome.org and Dragan Espenschied. Rhizome.org is a nonprofit based in New York, centered around digital art and culture, and Dragan is their director of preservation. And put like another way, he is like one of the world experts in preserving obsolete computers, in specific emulating them. Basically, he's like the guy. So Dragan comes on board, and we're really going to try to do this. And at this point, it's probably important to say we had a number of technical concerns. Primarily was the physical provenance of this laptop. So at that point, in 2014, the laptop is already from the late 90s, so it's old. Secondly, tragically, the way that Majerus passed was in a plane accident going from Berlin to Luxembourg in 2002, and the laptop was with him on that plane. So the physical provenance of the laptop was definitely a stressor for us because we just weren't sure that the hard drive would have survived that physical trauma. So all these things are swirling around in our head, but basically we go forward and we make a copy of the hard drive at a place called Kroll. And basically they're able to make a copy, which gives us this idea that it's like, oh, actually, if they're able to make a copy, it means the sectors weren't damaged so badly that it probably is okay. Fast forward a couple of years, it's now 2023. It's go time. Dragan flies to Berlin to the Majerus Estate, and he is going to finally try to boot up this copy of the hard drive that we made. So there's this copy of Majerus's hard drive, and Dragan is going to kind of glue it together with an emulator, not like real glue, but like virtual glue. And it's going to hopefully boot up. And an emulator, real quick, is a computer which kind of just like thinks it's another computer. In this case, it's this emulator can run a Macintosh OS 9 ROM. So Dragan flies to Berlin, he gets it all together. And actually there's like a whole unknown which happened because the copy wasn't in the right format. I will let Dragan talk about that on a later episode of this series. But anyway, he finally gets it together, and he hits the green button or hits the go button or whatever to finally try to boot it up. And it crashes. But actually the reason why it crashed is kind of interesting and speaks a lot to Majerus's computer life, what kind of computer user he was, and how he set up his computer. So obviously, this ended up working, but this crash was kind of important. So let me stop there, and now let's just boot up this machine, and we'll take it from there. So just give me a second, because I have to turn this off and reconfig and press a bunch of buttons. Okay, so I'll see you back in 1 second. All right, here it is, booting up. What you're seeing is a Macintosh OS 9 computer, obviously in German. Next, what you're going to see are the extensions, which are kind of system add-ons that different programs needed to do kind of tricky things with the computer. And actually also, if you're wondering why this is all taking so long, that's how life was in the 90s. Computers were slow, so this thing is going to take a little while to boot up. But what we're about to see is, Michel Majerus's laptop and virtual studio, pretty much as he would have seen it the last time he used the computer in 2002. And there it is. Pretty cool, huh? So this is it. It's amazing. Actually, there's a caveat about the last time I'm seeing it. I see something here. I see this Unix drive. This drive he wouldn't have seen, because this is added by the emulation system, but actually that gives us a good chance to talk about this emulation system. The system is called Emulation as a Service, and it is provided by the University of Freiburg, and it's basically a cloud-based emulation service, which very coolly allows, it's very cool that it allows non-destructive redaction. So you're able to make changes to these virtual environments and save them in succession. And so you're able to basically manipulate these things without destroying the original copy. And that's important for this project, because before I was able to see this material, and we are able to see this material, Dragan, working with another engineer named Mona Ulrich, worked with the family to redact any personal material that Majerus had on the computer. So if you're looking for some hot gossip, you're not going to find it here. This is only Majerus's working files. And in that way, I think of it like, how Pollock has this kind of they preserved his studio in the Hamptons, and you can go on a tour. I've never been, but I've heard. This is the same. So we are kind of walking in to an artist's studio that has been preserved, and it just happens to be virtual. And actually, this is probably what what many artist studios will look like in the future. Definitely mine. All right, so let's jump into it. Let's talk about this computer. It is a Macintosh G3 Wallstreet laptop, and actually I want to show you something as I explain it. I happen to know that in this John Wayne folder, there's actually pictures of the physical laptop in there here, and there's another one here. So here's one. Let's see if I can get the other one for you. So a Macintosh G3 laptop running, and let's take a look what exactly it is running. Oops, no, we don't want to look at the Nikon. We want to look at the system information. Uber Dyson computer. 9.0.4, and that was the last of the old world Macintosh operating systems before Mac and Apple switched over to a more Unix base. And it was kind of the most stable of these operating systems, although for those that remember OS 9, OS 9 was really pretty difficult. It was crashing all the time. So anyway, point being, Here are two computers. Here are two photographs of the actual laptop. So at some point, Majerus had taken a photograph of his laptop, and we could see it here. It is a black G3, and this was called the Wallstreet laptop. And actually, I have a story about the first time I ever saw one of these, and I want to use it to make a point that Majerus was a top computer user. I mean, Majerus's computer is tricked out. So the first time I saw a Macintosh G3, 1999, I am a student at the Oberlin Conservatory of Music. It is the first day of composition class. I think it's one of my last years in school. I have no idea what's going on. I am an idiot in these years. New teacher walks in. I don't know who she is, and it's Pauline Oliveros. Now, for those of you at home who don't know who Pauline Oliveros is, I think in 20th century avant-garde music, you have John Cage, and the major figure right after John Cage is Pauline. I knew none of this, though. So anyway, Pauline walks in, and at that point, I'm not sure what age she was, but to my idiot eyes, I was like, oh my God, she looks like my grandmother. You know, she had gray hair. And so she walks into class and she has this briefcase, and I'll never forget it. She opens up this briefcase and she pulls out one of these computers, a Wallstreet. I had only heard about them and I had never seen one. And it would have had the same effect if she had pulled up to class in a Ferrari. That's how amazing these computers were then. Real quick. Every single thing Pauline said after that to the end of school, I listened to. I just was like, if this woman has this computer, she absolutely knows what's going on. And I was lucky that I realized that like the first 3 seconds of class. So point being, Majerus has just like a super tricked out computer. And it's actually why Dragan couldn't get it to boot up right away. It's because Dragan had so many extensions, so many add-ons to the computer that the emulator just choked on it, and Dragan had to work on taking away some of those extensions to get it to work. And so, actually real quick, this John Wayne folder, you wonder, why is it called John Wayne? Well, he's taking pictures of John Wayne off of the TV. And you could see, actually, it's a CRT TV because you could see the curve of the monitor. So, to me, I think this is probably New York. You could see from the pizza box and the air conditioner in the window. It's probably New York. But anyway, let's go back and let's talk a little bit about how tricked out this computer is. And another way to look at that is if we click on this program alias folder and we just take a look at the programs that he had. Absolutely a full stack, and I'm just going to go through some of them for you. Sounded at 16. That is a really great low-level audio editor. Actually, let's click on it and see if it works. I actually had this when I was in high school. And let's see if I remember to put some noise. Okay. So sound edit 16 he has. Don't save. He has, Microsoft Word, not so impressive. Adobe After Effects, very impressive. Flash 4, that's a vector animation program. Oh, and actually, what's After Effects? After Effects is a kind of video effects program which allows you to layer videos and programmatically apply effects to them. It's actually one of my favorite programs. I think it's a very beautiful program, and I still use it. Quark Express, which is a kind of graphic design program. ICQ for chatting. Adobe Premiere, video editing, which is actually what this series is being edited on. Adobe 6, Adobe 4, Napster. Wonder what happens if we click on Napster. There's no internet in this emulation system, so it's crashing. And Cinema 4D. Cinema 4D was just in the news recently because it's the program Beeple uses, actually. So 20 years ago, Majerus, he's got all the software. I mean, I was a multimedia artist then, and I didn't have a software stack like this. So we talked about how tricked out Majerus's laptop is. Let's get back a little bit to my elevator pitch. And for that, I want to click on this folder called Catalog and take a look at this file called Wallpaper Daytona. And I could just take a look at the information on the file first. July 1st, 2000. So that was the last time this file was, well, actually it was both created and last modified then. So this means it's one of the earlier files on the laptop. Majerus used the laptop basically from 2000 up until his death in 2002. So it was used mainly in the later part of his life. So let's take a look. This is one of my favorite files. And what he's doing here is he is working on arranging some of his paintings, and it's opening up in Photoshop 6, which is actually very cool because you could see it's registered under his name, which I think actually means he bought it, because if I remember correctly, if you were using cracked software, the name would have been different, and often the graphics, the loading graphics of the program would have been manipulated. So I'm pretty sure it means he bought it, and I think it's kind of, yeah, like, I don't know, endearing that he bought Photoshop. It means he took himself seriously. It was like a huge investment, and I don't know. I think it's kind of cute in a way. Okay, so here's wallpaper Daytona.pst. Oh, an amazing combination of works, and what it is actually photographs of 4 of his paintings arranged on top of a wallpaper. And another thing to note, actually, is that these Photoshop windows have been pulled down, and this is as he left it. And basically, it's either a bug in the emulator, that the emulator is just reading that all the windows are below, or he left it this way. I think, if I had to bet on it, I think he probably left these windows down there so he could look at this graphic unencumbered. So we could push this one up, but let's look at the layers actually. And one cool thing about Virtual Studio like this is we can kind of peer into files and take a look at metadata that otherwise wouldn't be visible. For example, here we could see all the Photoshop layers, and the layers would have been created chronologically actually. So we could see the different moves he made in trying to arrange these 4 paintings. So for example, here's a painting. Let's see if we could find a paint. So here's a painting which isn't in the final, but his 11th step, he had dragged it in to consider it. And let me see actually if I could drag it over. And also, it's probably good to note that when I turn this emulator off, everything goes back to the way that it was. None of my changes are saved, basically. So don't freak out that I'm going around changing all this stuff. It always snaps back. So here I moved it over. Let's see if I could. So yeah, here is like some other painting or some graphic he was considering in this combination of works. And he loves to combine his works together, especially in grids. And actually the estate sent me the information of what we're looking at here. So let me read it to you. The wallpaper, which you see is in the background, which is this car crash. Let me see if I could just show it to you alone. Let's see. I'm just going to delete these paintings. Not delete, just turn them off. Where are they? Wow, there's actually a lot of things here. Oh yeah, then there's this one that I turned on. So this is a wallpaper. It's called 3MMT2. And in front of the wallpaper, oh, now I forgot which ones that hold on. Let me close this. I don't remember which ones he had up and open it again. But in front of the wallpaper, when it loads up again, is a painting called Blood All Over, a painting called Slayer, a painting, hold on, I have it written here, a painting called Squirt, and one called Your Ideas Get Killed. And he loves to arrange his works in grids. And actually, real quick, after I show you this, it's also the way he arranged his computer. And I'll show you an example. Here they are. There. And real quick, I'll show you, there's this cool icon on the desktop called Browse Thumbnails. And this is some kind of add-on to the operating system, or an app, I guess you would call it now, where that allowed him to look into folders and to see all the files in the folders in grids, which I had no idea existed, but it's very cool. So he, not only does he like to see his works in grids, but he also likes to actually see his file system in grids. And let's see, I could also show you an example here, a file called 60 by 60. And we will see another example of him arranging his works in grids. And this, of course, is from his famous 60 by 60 series, where he basically would make different paintings, all 60 by 60 centimeters, and then he would often show them together in these different arrangements. And here we could see him playing around with the different arrangements of these paintings. Okay. But anyway, I promised you I would get back to my elevator pitch. So, and to get back to my elevator pitch, I want to focus on this painting here in this file called Slayer. Okay, let me just bring it down. Okay, so here is Slayer. Oops, hold on. Okay, here is Slayer from 2001. Now, this is an example of what I'm talking about. First of all, there is the timeliness. Take a look at that font. That font did not exist in the 1970s or probably even the 80s. That is a font that I remember from the 90s. That is a font that would have been on techno record covers, or like, I seem to remember in like the Lower East Side, there was like a bubble tea place that had like a kind of font like that. So that's an example of Majerus like really being tuned into the look of his time. And then look at the painting formally. It's just crazy. Like, how did he know how to put this Slayer graphic like off to the side, even being cut off? Why is there a yellow square there? What is up with this whole abstract expressionist painting thing? Like, how did he know how to combine AbX painting with Slayer? And it's like, just like 2 days ago, I was playing a game with my music friends. What's the concert you regret missing the most? And one of them had mentioned Slayer 2009, Paris. And I humble bragged, oh yeah, actually I saw them in 2006. Rosen Ballroom. It was amazing. Anyway, so we're talking formally, but also talking expansively. That's the kind of thoughts that start flowing in my head when I see a work like this. And I also remember, being young and a young artist in New York and learning about painting and realizing that people even still painted, which was a shock to me. And so there is this expansiveness, at least for me, that when I see work like this, I could just daydream forever, basically. It's just why I love this work so much. Okay, so to recap, Majerus' computer is super tricked out. It prevented it from even booting up immediately because he had so many wild extensions. He has a top-of-the-line 1% multimedia machine. The actual physical computer was the Ferrari of its day. And he is working on it on a daily, weekly basis, and he's using it to make his work. And to conclude, actually, today, I just want to leave you with a very, very cool thing that I found here. So I was playing around with America Online. Actually, we can go back to it. So America Online was the United States' biggest internet service provider. What does that even mean? It means it was a company which provided the internet as a service, aka access to the internet. If you could even believe it, your cable company does it now, but then you had to pay $20 a month. Your modem would call their computers, and their computers had access to the internet. Anyway, here's his logon screen. So I was looking around the America Online, and I discovered he was downloading files from America Online, and I found them in this folder called Down here. And I want to click on this file. It's called the Long Count 2000, and it is incredibly a photograph of an artwork by Paul Pfeiffer, a killer artist who was active then and is still active now. And incredibly, he has a retrospective, his 25-year retrospective, right now at the Museum of Contemporary Art, Los Angeles. And this work is in the show, unbelievably. So Majerus is looking at this work 24 years ago, and not only looking at it, like waiting for it to be downloaded on his modem. And we are looking at it now, 24 years later. And probably somebody's standing in LA later today looking at it in person. So so that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in. Next episode is painting. We're going to talk about Majerus's paintings and how he designed a lot of them on the computer. Don't forget, like, subscribe. Thanks for stopping by today, and I'll see you soon.